It's actually 6 extra hours. So the actual journey of the earth around the sun is 365 days and 6 hours. So every year we get about 6 hours off. And so once every 4 years, 4 times 6 is, oh, and there's our magic day. Once every 4 years, we add an extra day to the calendar to get us back in line with what's happening in the heavens. You see, the same thing has got to happen in the church. We have these little adjustments that have to be made so that we don't drift, because our human nature, it's natural to think we really know what's going on. We really think we know the days in the calendar. We really think we're in step with God, and actually God's 6 hours ahead of us. And he's talking to us about stuff that we haven't even processed yet. And we're going, woo, Would you say that again, Lord? And then there's those moments when we all of a sudden have a big leap forward. Boom. Hey, whoa, hey, what happened? God just aligned me again. I call those breakthrough revelations. Breakthrough revelations when God has been brooding over Canaan. He's been brooding over Canaan. And they're wandering around the wilderness, going, hold the fort, for I am coming. This is where God is working. God is working in the wilderness. And God's brooding over Canaan and going, yes, Canaan's going to be a great place. It's going to be such an awesome thing. What's he telling Moses up in the mountain? He's telling him all about Canaan up in the mountain. And they're down there saying, maybe we should go back to Egypt. Moses has been up there a while. We've seen all we're supposed to see down in this wilderness. We're missing something. They weren't in calibration. They weren't in alignment. They got distracted and they started to drift. Touch somebody and say, don't drift. So this year, I'll tell you my story of how God calibrated me. I go to Singapore every year. I have been since 2005. You see what's wrong with me. Still living in the past. I actually got an invitation back in the 90s and never made it there until 2005. But, well, Brother Willoughby said it to me this way. He said, when somebody comes and gives you $3,000, then call me and come to Singapore. And I thought, well, he just bound me to that. I can't come until somebody gives me $3,000. So I just prayed and waited, and sure enough, the first donation that came to my ministry after I went back into international evangelism in 2004. I started my 501c3 corporation, Triumph Ministries International Network. My very first donation was a $3,000 donation. And I said, woo, that means I'm supposed to go to Singapore. So by the next year, I actually made it happen, and we went. When you go to Asia, their timetable is actually a day ahead. Now, for some reason this year, I was going to go twice, because last year, due to the family situation, I actually did not go in September. But I already had the ticket bought, so we just decided we had to use it for the normal September date. So I'm going twice this year. So January, they wanted me to come for Vision Week. And in September, I'll go back for School of the Spirit. We do special intensive training and get involved with lots of spiritual things. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's one of my highlights of my year. But January, Vision Week, January. And I looked at my itinerary on my ticket, and I said, man, I leave Thursday, and I get there Saturday. And I looked at that, and I went, wow. Man, I must have a long layover in Hong Kong. So I'm flying from LAX to Hong Kong, and it's just kind of like a time where you can't quite figure out, now, is this Friday I get there, or is it Saturday I get to Hong Kong? And I actually was looking for hotel rooms and thought that I should book one. And then I went back and read it one more time, and I realized, no, that's actually the whole time it's going to take for me to get over there. I'm going to leave on Thursday, but because they're 16 hours ahead of us, they're already in tomorrow before I leave. And it's so cool thinking that I'm flying into tomorrow. And when I'm flying over the ocean, somewhere in the middle of the ocean, and what I think is the middle of the night, I cross what they call the international date line. And the day just goes boom. Wow, it's tomorrow. And I love to call home and I say, don't worry about tomorrow. Everything's fine. I'm living there right now. If you'd like to know about the sunrise, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Amazing. You know, tonight at 1:59, the clock is going to go boom to 3 o'clock. So it switches from 1:59 to 2, it's going to go straight to 3. Somewhere on some official time clock, that's what's going to happen. It's programmed. Because we're jumping forward. See, God has these little things that he does to us to just jump us forward. And as I was going there, I realized this is what God wanted me to do. He wanted me to focus on connecting with my tomorrow instead of spending all of this time trying to get over what was happening in the past. And on my first day there, what you do to get over jet lag, and this is just a little for anyone who travels, when you travel overseas, this is a simple rule. If you want to get over your jet lag quick, just sleep when it's dark and stay awake when it's light. That's it. But when you get there, your body feels like it's time to sleep, but it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I say, take me to Starbucks. Thank God they have Starbucks in Singapore. And I get a coffee, and I'm going to like 3 hours sleep, and I've been traveling for like 30 hours, you know. And I'm just like, this is so great to be here. Man, this mocha really is good. Okay. If I can take a shower and shave, I'll feel like a new man again. And I just try to stay awake. If I sleep, it's just for an hour. Just take a little nap, and then stay up, take me to dinner, plan something for me, and I stay awake. And I went to bed around 9 o'clock in the evening. I was proud of myself. I'm getting trained now. And about 4 a.m., I'm awake. 4:30. Talk about getting up for morning prayer. It's like automatic. Sun comes up, boom. Man, you start waking up, and it's amazing. And as I got up early that morning, I'd finally got some rest. Stretched out in this position instead of trying to sleep like this. You know, you may now recline your seat. As far as this thing goes back. And then the guy in front of you, he goes like this. And you're like looking over his shoulder. I'm glad you washed your hair today. Sorry, see, distraction. That's what I'm talking about. We're drifting right now. Got up in the morning. And I sit on the nice sofa in the quarters that they have there. And I sit down with God. And I begin to talk to him. I began to talk to him about what I'd just been dealing with and how I was feeling. And it was just like Jesus himself came and sat down next to me. It was not just like I felt the anointing or I felt the presence of God. There was a physical presence right there. My head was turned in that direction. I had my eyes open and I was speaking looking this way. Didn't see anything, but I could feel the presence there. And I began to tell God about all these things, and I began to weep, and I began to tell him that I was wrestling with some things. And then the Lord began to speak back to me. And he said, tell me what you are distracted by. And I got my notepad out. I ran, got my notepad, and I sat down. And I began to write all the things I was distracted by. Everything that I just felt like was taking my attention away from forward progress. And then he said, what are you distracted from? And when I heard him say that to me, it was like something unlocked in my spirit. It was an alignment. I crossed over something. I moved into another level. Because I realized that everything that I was being distracted